We're back and we're doing a DRZ 400 SM oil change. Things are a little tight in the garage because we've got the S model I've been working on over here, and it's a cluttered mess in here. But we got it back happy again. So real fast, what I'm gonna do is go over our materials for this. I've got a new filter and I've got some fresh Rotella. Over here I've got our drain jug, our drain container, and I've got my measuring cup with a funnel. It's graduated, which is nice. I've got a rag over it keeping any of the clutter out. I've got some gloves, 12 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and 14 millimeter. Socket for my 3/8 drive. So let's get started. I'm going to try to in here kind of close quarters. So I'm going to try to get as much action as I can and try to keep me out of it as much as I possibly can. But you know how it goes. These are kind of my lighter duty gloves, so we'll see how they hold up to this abuse. I got kind of spoiled with my super heavy duty. These are just the Hardy Harbor Freight brand. I'm just using my cell phone, so just bear with me. So I'm going to start real quick here with my 3/8 with the 10 millimeter. And I'm going to take the skid plate off. And it's got 4 10 millimeters. And again, I'm trying to stay out of the picture as much as possible. And it's loud in here. The reason why it's loud is because my air conditioner is going in here in the garage. It's been super hot. And I'm feeling very fortunate to have my air conditioner in here. So I'm going to just kind of hyper squat down here. Make sure to stay limber when you're working on stuff yourself. And there's going to be one part on this, and I'll show it to you. It's a do as I say, not as I do. So says the do, because I'm Dewey's Garage. Oh, good grief, I forgot to start this off, I think, with my saying, some of my videos, at least my live streams, is Dewey, what are you doing? Well, today I'm changing the oil on the DRZ. So let's see here. Got 3 of them out, and this is where things are going to get a little weird. This is when I want to drop down. And I'm changing this oil at 1,000 miles. And, you know, this is on a stroker big bore DRZ, which if you know my channel, or if you don't know my channel, please do like my videos and subscribe to my channel. I'm working really hard to try to build it and build a community, and I'd like to become monetized at some point. All right. So I've got one of these jugs that you can, you know, keep your material contained. Oh, I almost forgot another material. We'll get to that point. But you got to make sure if you're going to drain into it, you got to have your vent tube open, and you got to have your cap in your basin that you're draining into open. Okay, so I got my other 3/8 chucked up here with a 14 millimeter. At least it better be. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There we go. And this shouldn't have a whole bunch of oil come out. And that's 14 millimeter, that's your drain plug. And yes, this engine's been warmed up and ran. I'm gonna put my drain plug on my little piece. I use a little, oh, it's a Tupperware type pan. Where is that sucker? Oh, I was sitting right next to it. I did plan ahead. Good grief, Dewey, what are you doing? All right, so it's this little Tupperware pan. And, you know, it's obviously been used for stuff in the shop, but that's fine. So what I'm gonna do is to try to prevent mess. On our frame here, we have a 12 millimeter. That's where most of our oil is gonna come out of. So what I like to do, I'm gonna take our 10 millimeter here and take it off and put our 12 millimeter on. And I'm just gonna loosen it real quick. Again, I'm trying to stay out of the way, but also do the task at hand. Here we go. So let me see if I can make sure and show this to you. I'm gonna raise it up just a little bit. And I think what I'm gonna do is come from this side and show you. So I gotta move my oil jug out of the way. Sorry, oil jug. Again, it's kind of a cluster fudge in here. Let's see, can you see me? Okay, you can kind of see me. So what I got here is I've got access through the exhaust here. And the engine, like I said, is warmed up. It's really important to have the gloves on here. But what I've got is I've got something to catch this so I don't have as much of a mess. Hopefully. I don't know. There we go. I actually dropped the bolt by accident, but that's okay. I caught it in my little drain tub. Now that our main flow is over, and I got our little basin jug and it's out of the way. So, I'm gonna grab me a quick rag. I probably should have had another rag. I don't want to use my one that I was using. Okay. Just to wipe my hands off. I'm grabbing my stool. Go around to the other side. I'm gonna bring you, don't worry. Real quick, I've got a 14 millimeter here. I'm gonna chuck up one, and this is one of those things where do as I say, not as I do, okay? And meanwhile, I'm gonna grab our filter because we're gonna need that. Hello YZ250 Supermoto and Bandit. Okay. So can you see me? Okay, good. Is anybody watching? Nobody's watching. That's too bad. Okay. So, first of all, do not do what I'm going to do. This is one of those things. Do as I say, not what as I do. Not as I do. So what I'm going to do is right here is a 14 millimeter and it's linked to your oil pressure bypass valve. When your oil system reaches pressure, it has a spring and a check ball here that when it reaches pressure to depress that spring, oil flows through your case to the other side where there's a oil line that goes all the way up and over to your oil tank through the top. And what this is an access to be able to check your oil pressure, but it also drains this basin here out of the oil filter location. So do not do this. People tear these aluminum cases apart by doing this, usually not by loosening it, but when they retighten it, because it's a steel bolt on a thin, hollow aluminum for our proper English speaking peoples. And I'm just going to set this here. But do not do this. This just is what I do. And that was my 14 millimeter. And here's our 10 millimeter. I'm going to go around and loosen these. These weren't very tight, and they don't need to be very tight. They don't need to be very tight. Make sure and keep track of your nuts. These are just nuts on studs on this cover. And this is an aftermarket cover, obviously. And I like it because it's got a magnet in the very center of it where the OEM one does not. Yeah, it's Chinese, and yes, as I've used this, it's faded a little bit in its color, but it's gold. Alright, so I'm going to set those nuts just right here, and out should come our filter. Shame on that. And also my O-ring for the outside stayed on the case there. So I'm going to massage this. And this is a good thing if you had a magnet on hand, you could use it to remove it. And whenever you're looking into your filter, you inspect it, make sure it doesn't have a bunch of junk on it. Mine does not. And secondarily, and I'm going to go ahead and show you here. And I don't have a lotion on this, so forgive me. In here, hole here, there should be an O-ring. That causes the filter to seat properly on the filter and make sure that all of the oil runs through the oil filter. I'm going to grab a quick rag here. And I'm going to bring the oil jug around here, just because Dewey likes to be thorough. So we got our rag here. That was over my oil jug. What I'm going to do here, there's a little bit of residual oil. Our drain didn't drain it all out there. But you can do this very simply without removing this. Don't take this out. This is just what I do. And it's probably dumb that I do it. But it's just what I do. And it's some sort of controversy, but you just don't over tighten it when you put it back on there. Just like if you were going to check your oil pressure, like it says its access is for. Here, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up. And it's got a crush washer on it, but this is aluminum versus a steel screw, so you don't go crazy. It's tight. Leave it alone. See, it's tight. I mean, I'm choked way up on it. I'll leave it alone. Now, this is where we go to our filter, our oil filter, our new oil filter. Yay, oil filter, brand new. Let's see, I want to make sure that you're seeing this. And I'm just using these high flow. You know, if you're a purist, you can use OEM, that's fine. And I got my Rotella here. Oh yeah, baby. I just bought 5 gallons of it through Walmart for $72. To my door. Oh man, that stuff smells great. And what I'm doing, I'm just gonna, you know, this is probably another one of those unnecessary steps. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on my filter, just so it's got a little bit of oil on it. It's dry when they come in. So let me see here. And so there's a closed end and an open end. Remember that open end goes in contact with the place where we're making sure the O-ring's in place. I'm wiping the surface where the O-ring seats for our cover, but there's one more step here. There's a spring on this cover. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to set it right here. And this material here is contaminants. Magnets on any of these parts help your engine oil filter do its job. See, I got a little bit of sludge there. I ride her hard, but I change the oil often. So I had a little bit of sludge there. I'm going to wipe this clean. I'm going to inspect and make sure that my O-ring is a raised surface here. And it is. It's not all hardened and nasty. And I'm going to place my cover back on here. Oh, no I'm not. You caught me, didn't you? I put my spring back on. See, it's magnetic. It holds that spring. So it slides into place. And you see it's got that spring. And I'm messing around with it, so I'm making sure that my O-ring is staying in place. And I'm going to put these nuts on. And these nuts are going on studs that are fitted into aluminum cases, your clutch side case cover. And I'm using a 3/8 drive. So you don't go crazy on it. We've got not a magnet, we've got a spring that is, yeah, I'm not using my torque tool. I'm not using my little impact that's going to piss well these studs out of their position. All right. And I'm doing my final tightening. Final tightening. And final tightening. I'm done over here. And since I am over here, if I stage this just right, I can put my plugs in, which I'm going to, from this side. Grabbing my 12 millimeter off of my piece of cardboard where I was organizing my parts. This thing's going to wrap up real quickly. First and foremost, we've got a little bit of material on my magnetic drain plug. It's not a lot, but it's an engine. Engines wear. It's the nature of the game. This is a higher performance engine. Sorry about that. This is a higher performance engine than stock. So we're changing the oil a little more often than the manual. Well, a lot more often than the manual suggests. I change it every 1,000 miles. So I'm inspecting, and I'm going to clean my And if I wanted to, I could replace my crush washer. I'm not worried about it. And I'm actually going to grab my rag here. And I'm going to wipe off where the... Oh! You almost got me again, guys. It's because of the camera. It's the camera. Hang in there with me now. Here's a trick to get some more of the material out. So, we still have our drain plug out of the engine, and I'm going to stand the engine or the bike up, and I'm actually going to go, I'm leaning it towards you even farther. And here we go, we're going this way. And then I'm going to set it back down on the kickstand, and it's draining more oil out. You can see it, it's right there. And I like to do this process 2 or 3 times. So we're still a fine little drizzle. I'm leaning it this way. And we're going back. That's a little drizzle. I'll lean it this way. The main thing that we're doing this for is to get all of the old oil that we possibly can out, because it's done its job. It's doing one of the jobs of oil, which is keeping contaminants in suspension. So we want as many contaminants that have been put into suspension out of the suspension, so that our new oil can do that job, not the old oil try to do that job or contaminate our new oil. So we're letting that drain for just a second here. Very occasional drip. That's why it's really a benefit that you don't go and change your oil when your engine's cold, because your oil will flow out much easier and your contaminants will be fully in suspension, so you can get them out. What we had to do with the S model is we had a petcock failure on that. My friend Link's Garage did a video about that recently, about why he chose to go with the manual petcock, which I have mine too. I'm not running the stock carburetor, so I'm just starting this by hand here into our cases here. There we go. I'm going to double check. I touched the cases on the outside to make sure this is clean. Yeah, it's fine. So I'm doing this kind of quick. While we're looking at this side of the engine, obviously I got kickstart on this, but a lot of you guys and gals might notice this hose on your oil recovery system for your crankcase ventilation. An easy upgrade is to put a hose clamp, a worm gear hose clamp, on that hose so that you can prevent the failure of those simple slip type clamps. It's important on these lower hoses because they see a lot of oil. I'm going to switch this ratchet back over to Tighten, which it already was. Righty-tighty. And there is a torque value on this, so make sure and torque it to the proper spec. Taking the 14 off because we're done with it and putting the 12 back on. And by hand, real quick, wiping off where the frame plug goes. get it started. And I probably would have been all the way done by now if I hadn't been rambling on. But I wanted to share it with the people that watch my channel and maybe some people that don't. So make sure and subscribe. I might do a live from time to time on this. Also do so on my Instagram from time to time. And I share a lot of my projects that don't make it to YouTube on there. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do it right now, and on this stream I'm not going to put our skid plate back on, but now is a great time, and make sure you don't get distracted, to get some contact cleaner and spray off this side of the engine where we've had our oil filter out. We've not removed this, don't you do it, and we've had our drainage and all this stuff on the underside of our bike. So now's the time to get that, and just to get some mild contact cleaner and a towel, and just wipe that down. I'm not going to do that now because I got the garage door closed because the air conditioner's on. After we're done here, I'm going to do that outside so it's safe, and I'm not going to breathe in a bunch of contaminants into my lungs. It's not good for you. So in lieu of doing that, what we're going to do is go over here to our, can you see it? You can't see it, it's slightly out of frame. I'm going to show you. There we go. I'm going to put 2 quarts. Oh yeah. Yeah, baby. Nutella, baby. Put 2 quarts of oil. 2 quarts. Nom 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 nom. So since we did the DRZ 400S over here with the crankcase, excuse me, the petcock failed, we ended up with 3 quarts of material I drained out of the cases. What was the extra quart beyond the oil capacity? And I know my metric friends they're losing their mind, like, quarts? What are you talking about, you crazy American? I know, I am crazy. I am American. I didn't vote for Sleepy Joe though. That guy's a mess. But what we did was, I'm gonna slide you back up here. I'm gonna rant for a second here. Sorry about the lighting in here. So I'm gonna try to do the best I can to be in frame here. What we did do on this bike over here behind me, I hope you see it, this S model, there are 3 quarts of oil and gas in it because the petcock failed and the needle seat for the float failed at the same time. So we ended up with a positive flow of fuel into the cylinder and into the crankcase. So we had contamination of the oil with fuel. The good thing about having it overfilled is it didn't run right. It wouldn't stay running, so they didn't use it. So they ran it a very little bit and they said, we're done. The reason why it didn't run right is because in your crankcase ventilation system here, I'm going to try to show it here. So can you see? Can you see? Can you see? In your crankcase ventilation system here, that overfilled oil ended up going into our recovery either through the top or in the bottom or both, and ended up going over into the top of the air filter area in front of it, actually, of where the air filter is, and it ended up getting drawn right back into the intake, basically flooding it. And it ran like crap, for lack of better words. It ran horribly. So they said, Dewey, save me, save me. And I don't know how long this has gone on. Here, I'll just bring you over there and show you. Well, it's got the same petcock that mine has on it, and you might have seen that. So let's see here. Are you gonna see me? Are you gonna see me? Yeah, you'll see me. So I'm making sure that my funnel's clean, inside and out. Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be a real bummer. Contaminate your engine when you're supposed to be putting fresh, clean stuff in here. Double checking our fill. Yep, right at 64 ounces. And for our metric friends, it looks like about 1900 mils. So when we're all said and done and we do our proper oil change procedure, our oil checking procedure, we'll top off from there if needed. Make sure my spout's clean. And this is a really restricted funnel. Got something in there? No. And I'm just pouring our oil in there slowly. This is a real small funnel. Just filling it up. Slow going. So I'll follow up with our restart procedure. And then I'll check our oil and add if needed. But odds are it won't need it. But it might. So I did that process on the S model 2 times. So I did an original, after I cleared up the petcock and carburetor issues. I did a test ride. I did a little bit of carburetor tweaking. And then I did another oil change, just to make sure that we got all of that contaminated fuel, out of the crankcase. All right, and you might have seen my oil check, my dipstick here. This is a Chinese one, but what I like about it versus the OEM is this is metal. This is a metal. It might be pot metal, but it's not plastic, and it doesn't get cross-threaded really easy. And the OEM on the E model over here does have metal threads. That's a 2000 model, so I don't know how they did it from that point on. So, let me see if it'll let me change it around here. We'll see. All right, see my sweaty face? I need a haircut. But anyway, I wanted to just talk about it real quick. It's important to do this process often. And, just because it says 3,000 miles or so many kilometers, what's that, 5,000 kilometers or whatever it is, you don't have to do it that way. So this is a relatively fast process. We've been streaming for about 35 minutes, and for the most part, we're done. I'm not going to show you, like I said, because I want to do my final clean here, but I bet this is a 20-25 minute job easy, if you are worried about it. Or, you can stretch it out a little bit and enjoy it. Some people like to do that with their oil change. They like to allow for a little extra time for drainage, and by all means do that. And especially if it's not quite as warm as you were hoping for it to be. So that's kind of my guidance on this, is use your own discretion. And let's see, how can we do a little bonus? We're done here. This is the end of this video. So I'm going to give you, again, since we have reverse camera here, and I'm just kind of trying to show you here. And it might be a little weird because we're on reverse camera, so I'm looking at you, but it looks like I'm looking away from you, so I apologize for that. Obviously, we got the Kickstarter. Oh, here we go. We got the Kickstarter on our stroker big bore here, and this is an FMF header. This is an FMF header, and it's a Two Brothers. That's a Two Brothers carbon exhaust. That's what it came with, was with the Two Brothers carbon exhaust. They're only made for the stock header. I didn't like that. I wanted to do something different. So you can, if you have something like that and you want to go to the FMF header, if you can find one, what you can do is you can bring your, it also works with the DG exhaust, because we've done that. You could bring your exhaust, you take it off your bike to a muffler shop, and what they can do is they have an exhaust pipe expander, and what they can do is stretch that slip-on to be able to fit on your FMF. Now, again, I might make some people mad. That's not going to work for your budget-friendly exhausts like your, I don't know, what would it be, Black Widow or Delkovich or anything like that. Hey, people like them, they have a following or anything and stuff like that. They just don't have the diameter that these have. They don't have the diameter of the Barkers over here, like what's on my E model here. And that fits really well with the, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, I've got kickstart on it. It doesn't contour as well, but it's out of the way, so that's all I'm worried about. But you can use an exhaust pipe expander. I did mine myself, and that was a massive amount of trouble. I had the virus, and at the time, I had the tools, and I was isolating. This was in the 2020s, so right at 2020, and everybody was freaking out and they didn't know anything, and they were obviously telling us the truth about everything. But anyway, I did it, and it was very difficult, but I was able to accomplish it. When you mate those two surfaces together, you use some red RTV, place it into place, be patient, allow it to cure, then use your clamp on it. Wait till the next day, or even later than that. Hopefully you're patient, and it'll set up and get you a good seal. So we have that. I don't have an aftermarket rear suspension on this, but I have added a lot of preload. I've added a lot of preload to this. So it sets a little bit higher than it normally would, but I'm really maxing out that spring. I've done a lot of alterations. I guess you could say I did the SoCal Supermoto recommendations for the front suspension, and I really like how this thing handles. I handle it on the track sometimes when I get some time to be able to do it, and I really appreciate the feedback on it. We're running the GPR 300s on this. Obviously, I'm not going to go around there, but we have the aftermarket petcock. It's kind of the knockoff. It's the knockoff E model one. Some people use a Raptor, some people use that. Do your own research, you can get it to work. I had to do a curly Q for the same petcock that I put on this for the stock carbed S model. He's not trying to get a bunch of performance out of it. He's just trying to get it back and forth to his irrigation fields. So he does that, and it works great. And it's got a big windshield on it, and it's kind of goofy for my purposes, but staying on point. We got a petcock, we got a stroker crank on this. That's hot cams, hot rods. We've got stage 2 cams in this system, and we've got the big bore on that, and I think that's a Cylinder Works and a CP piston. Carrillo makes that. So we've got that in place. This thing's going on 7,000 miles on that build. I'm really proud of how it's held up. The only thing that we've had as an issue is our base gasket. It's an aftermarket base gasket, and it started spewing coolant out at about 4,000 miles. That was last year. I was really bummed about it. What I did was, I went back with a slightly thicker OEM base gasket, and what happened was the vertex that I think we ended up using for the base gasket ended up delaminating, and the material blew out. Why it did it, I didn't know. I don't know. I run a radiator cap on this that has a thermostat in it, and I wasn't getting hot. It wasn't building up a bunch of pressure. My overflow wasn't going crazy. I just ended up with, I was losing material. So we limped it home, and I took the top end off. That was a great opportunity for me to inspect the top end. I didn't have any wear on my rings. My cylinder looked great. And then Rotella T4 1540, and it's a conventional. So see, what else have I looked at? I've overlooked some things. I've got my Lynx garage. This is really cool. Yes, it's a mess in here. All right, I'm going to try to show you here. I got my Lynx garage. So this is reverse. So it would be on the other side, but my Lynx garage piece here. So it kind of has a dimming effect, if you will. Again, this is reverse, so it's not crazy blinding when we do that, and then when we go to brights. So it's just got a pinhole on it, and if you can't see, it's 3D printed into it. It says Suzuki on it, which I think is really cool. Thanks to Lynx Garage. We got the plugs that he made. I didn't put the 3x3 guard on it. We've got a Ford Fabrications headlight on this. It's a Ford's Fabrications headlight mount on it for a standard 4x6 LED. We got the Yoshimura undertail over here. And back here, hey, if you're somebody that's way old school on my channel, there's the Power Horse generator. That thing's got like 50,000 views on there, something crazy. But all I was doing some reviews. It runs my tire warmers. Let's see, what else did we do here? So I got my headlight, still rocking the OEM mirrors on here. I've got Moto brake lines. I mean, you can go around this bike and you can just find all sorts of things that I've done to it. Obviously, I got the FCR 39 on it, and I uploaded a video about wheelie progression today. I'm 41 years old. Gonna be 42 later this year, and I'm just having so much fun with this bike. It's a great time, and I really enjoy interacting with the DRZ community. Let me see here. I'm looking forward to things cooling down a little bit so I can get the E-model. out and run the trails with my cousin. That'll be fun. I want to get the Grom out too, but I got these projects. Got this WR 250X back here. Where is it at? Yeah, it's over here. Don't make fun of me for my ladder, but I got the engine out of it. We had a crankshaft, a rod bearing failure on it, so we had to go back and split the cases on it. Real unfortunate. Wrecked the cylinder and piston on there, and just all sorts of mayhem happened. But we got that almost back together. I wanted to work on that a little bit tonight and prep the top end to go on. But I'm going to finish wrapping up this oil change. I want to thank everyone for watching and tuning in on the live. I'm going to post this as soon as it allows me to. Since I'm not a monetized member, I have to choose to list it. So we're just kind of stuck with there. But share this video to with people that have the DRZ. If you got to play it at a faster rate, at 2 times or whatever, do it. Whatever you want to do. But subscribe to my channel, please. If you have any comments, tell me what you want me to do. ask some questions. Remember, on the video, I don't know what video you're talking about. When I get comments, I just get them from all over the place in the different videos that I've done all the time. So give me a little bit of a preface to your question, and then that way I can properly answer your question as best as I can. And I will always answer questions unless you're being a jerk to me, and I might say something, but just it doesn't cost you anything to be kind. So kindness is free. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. We got some more videos coming out, and I look forward to sharing those with you. Thanks for watching.